Welcome to our first episode of EnviroConnect Buzz. This is one of the talk shows that the Department of the Environment has created so that you guys can get the buzz on hot environmental topics. Today, I'm your host, Shana Rayburn, and today with me, I also have Mr. Anthony Mai. He's the Senior Environmental Officer here at the Department of the Environment. Today, we'll be discussing the topic World Environment Day.
World Environment Day is very important. First and foremost, it was created by the United Nations to build awareness about the importance of protecting the environment. And when we talk about environment at the Department of Environment, we talk about the human beings being central to this connectivity between everything else. And so it is celebrated on June the 5th annually. And at the Department of Environment, we always conduct activities to celebrate and build awareness about why it is important to protect the environment.
Yes, and this year we have two things that we did. I know June 5th was on Saturday, which was on a weekend, but that wasn't different any at all. But we posted videos of restoration that lets people know what restoration is, how they can be a part of ecosystem restoration, because that's the theme for this year.
Okay.
And secondly, June 7th to June 11th, we're doing a paper-free week. So we're encouraging businesses, government offices, and any other business that produces a lot of paper to be able to reduce the amount of paper they're creating.
Yeah, I really like that idea, Shani, because again, it shows the importance of what you do on a daily basis and how it impacts the environment at the end of the day. So at the Department of Environment, and similarly with all government ministries, there's a lot of government offices. And so if you think about it, every day, these government offices produces paper waste as part of your normal day operation. And so if you think about now, cumulatively, together, all of these waste that is paper waste that is created, and then think about the impact that will have, on the environment as we put them together and discharge dispose of them.
Yes, so since we're having paper-free week, we're encouraging persons, if they're having meetings, conferences, to be paper-free. Okay. So use e-documents. Use electronic documents where you could just, review. Yeah. Like, I know when people review documents for you, you print, you edit it. Yeah. Come on, do it electronically. Yeah. They have Microsoft Word, they have Microsoft Docs where you can edit everything and everyone can see, and it shows who has edited.
Yeah. I have a good example also. I have a friend who is getting married soon.
This week?
I think, no, the following week, right? And rather than doing the traditional invitation, he's doing an e-invitation, an e-wedding invitation. And obviously, it is more colorful, you could decorate it and you could digitize it and, do it the way you want, which is beautiful. And then it is email, sent out through WhatsApp, etc., etc. So I think that's a very good initiative on his part. Yes. And it just came to mind and I said, wow, that's great. That's a great idea that we could try to promote.
It is. And I know we have email and WhatsApp. Yeah. And I hope I'm getting invited for that wedding.
We'll see.
Yes. And so today, who will be joining us is Ms. Hannah St. Louis Martinez, who is the Director of the National Biodiversity Office. And we'll be taking our break, where we will then have her coming on the show, giving us more information about ecosystem restoration and, of course, what we as Belizeans and people of our country can do to make it a better place.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that Ms. Hannah is coming on board because as a Director of Biodiversity, it links to the theme for this year, right? So biodiversity is important to ecosystem health and ecosystem function. So it will be very interesting to see, how we discuss biodiversity in relation to the theme.
So it's all connected. Everything has a connection.
I agree.
Yes. So see you guys soon. Stay tuned. And we're back. We're here with Mrs. Martinez. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So earlier we were discussing about World Environment Day. And so, do you know what the theme is this year?
Ecosystem restoration?
Yes, you're right. Yes. So we were discussing about ecosystem restoration. So we want everyone and our viewers to understand what it is. So maybe we could start off with you explaining to us what ecosystem is and why it's important.
Okay, so I will try and explain it to our viewers in a very simple manner, because it's not everyone that have a technical background. And so in a nutshell, ecosystems are made up of living and non-living components. And so it is the joining of biological communities, which is living things, and the environment. Now, the environment can be made up of, for example, the air, the water, soil, rocks. They are non-living. They don't grow. They don't have a feeling, but they do provide some sort of a home, which is what we call a habitat for the biological communities, which are, again, as I mentioned, the living things. So even we as humans form part of an ecosystem, which is, we could probably at the broader level call it the biosphere, because the biosphere is made up of multiple biomes and ecosystems. And so at that level, we can say that we humans are also a part of the biological community, which is the grouping of living things that interact with non-living things that make up an ecosystem.
And you touched on a very important point. You said us humans are part of the ecosystem. So us, we play a main role. We could either be good to that ecosystem or we could be bad. Right? It's what you choose. Right. We want all of our viewers and us to be good.
Right. Which is why the word restoration is very important when you speak of ecosystems. Because through the many, or as a result of the many impacts that we've had on our environment or on ecosystems, we are now forced as humans to assist in restoring many of these ecosystems so that they can provide the goods and services that we tend to enjoy. Some of those being clean water, fresh air, being able to find timber and non-timber forest produce, being able to have healthy fisheries, and you know. So we have had over the years, especially beyond the industrialized ages, we have caused quite a bit of an impact on our environment. Some of those impacts, for example, caused from deforestation, change in land use, water pollution, air pollution. And so we are now forced to restore, because the damages that we've caused on our ecosystems have now prevented them from providing the goods and services that we once enjoyed many decades ago now, when these ecosystems were considered pristine. Yes. And so that is why there is the need to restore many of these ecosystems to ensure that they are able to provide the goods and services, the things that we enjoy now, but also for future generations.
Yes, and I know when it comes to restoration, the topic and the term sustainability then comes with that. You have to be able to sustain when you're restoring, right? So all of that tie in, and that is what we want everyone to know. We play a part, it all ties in, and it's all connected, and we have to do all of that sustainably.
Right, and sustainability for even a child to understand it now, sustainability is using what is available now, but ensuring that no matter what is utilized, that there remains something that can be utilized for future generations.
Yes.
You know, and so if we're always thinking into the future, we would look at it as always trying to remain within limits and remain within the carrying capacity of ecosystems and of our living systems. You know? So that is what sustainability means. But over the past years, we have compromised that sustainability. You know? We have compromised the ability of these resources to be there for future generations.
So now we're here at restoration.
Which is why we are here at restoration. Exactly.
Yes. And generally speaking, has there been any ecosystem restoration happening here in Belize?
Well, ecosystem restoration isn't new to Belize. I believe there is greater effort now because the efforts we've been making in the past at the global level has been insufficient in terms of limiting for example, the increase in temperatures that has been causing climate change, which is also another driver of ecosystem change. So there is a great emphasis not to take more drastic and solid and concrete actions. But we have been in our own way doing restorative activities across the system. Now, we must understand that restoration isn't only done at the terrestrial level, no? You also do restoration within the marine realm. So, for example, we've suffered in the past from stony coral tissue disease, and we do have restoration activities occurring in certain sites like Holchan Marine Reserve.
Yeah.
And we also have restoration in sites, for example, in forest stands, in our forest reserves, for example, where we may have had infestations from bark beetle, where we may have had fires, where we may have had incursions, where we may have had, for example, deforestation due to land use change.
Yeah.
So there have been certain, in a nutshell, we have had restoration activities occurring. But again, as we move towards the 1.5, I believe, degrees Celsius at the global level, there is an even greater urgency to do more in terms of restoration. And so at the global level, we are all now speaking about, okay, you know what, those one-on-one restorative activities isn't enough. We need to think big. Right. And so many countries like Belize have been pledging, massive land mass, which will be restored over a certain period of time now. And I believe the period of time that we are all working towards at the global level is 2020 to 2030.
And this is what we're calling the Bond Challenge.
Right. This is the Bond Challenge that we hear about, no? And it is nations, countries trying to do more and making some big commitments towards restoring ecosystems at the global level.
Right. Okay. And so I know some of our viewers are wondering, okay, ecosystem restoration, what can I do? How can they get involved? Is there any project that you would like to highlight that maybe the National Biodiversity Office is a part of?
Well, we don't have any specific restoration project currently implemented. We do have pipeline projects that are awaiting final approval from donors. But in the meantime, it does not exempt or it does not, slow us down in terms of asking, for example, especially our young people to get involved in planting trees, to get involved in terms of promoting environmental awareness, being environmentally conscious, stop littering, stop cutting down trees if you don't have to. When you cut one, plant 2 trees, try to keep shade around your homes. We would want to see across the country increase in environmental clubs
and efforts.
Yeah, right. I believe back in the days you had an environmental club in every high school and in every preschool and in every high school.
There was gardening, agriculture,
where you could teaching smart practices. Right. But we've sort of seen those numbers go down a bit in past years. So we would want to have young people become a bit more involved. Now move from behind the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram and get out there and become an active participant in the restoration and the protection of your environment. No, start your own little seedling patch behind your home. No,
and the thing about this is that it does not have to be fancy. You can start or expensive. You can start with just a seed. It takes a seed to grow a tree. Right. You can do it, a vegetable, a fruit. And I know last year when this entire pandemic started, that's when everyone was saying, I'm going to be planting my own tomatoes, sweet peppers. Right. I've seen on Facebook how persons post, I just made my first harvest. And that was exciting to see because that is where we start. We start by doing something. Right. And that's perfect.
One example I can bring, and it is something that is practiced within my home, is whenever we buy a fruit, my children love to see that seed within that fruit. See it evolve from a fruit or a seed to a plant. And so many of the trees that we have in our yard at home were actually seeds that germinated and then were planted by my children. And so this is something that you can do. If you buy a Mali apple, you buy an avocado, You buy a mango, that mango seed is actually a seed that can become a tree, a plant that can produce even more fruits for you, you know? But we have to make people understand that the little steps that we take, you know, it means a lot, no? It is not only these people behind the desk and
or the farmers out there.
Yeah, or the farmers that can do their part. We also can do our part, no? And so I really want to see, as I said, our UB students, Galen students, our IT vet, you know, our students in high school and primary school. I even want to see our teachers become a bit more involved in terms of promoting environmental sustainability, environmental consciousness, but beyond that, taking the children outside of the classrooms when school reopen and have them experience a bit more of nature, no? Because there is a lot to learn from nature, and it is only from being exposed that we become we take ownership now of
more appreciative.
Of our surroundings.
Yes, and so ecosystem restoration could start anywhere. It starts with you, and it starts with you doing something out there. So I love that. So today we have a giveaway based on our discussion and what we were talking about. We have this bowl we'd like you to pick. Please don't pick your favorite color, but each one of these markers represents a question on what we were talking about. So our viewers get to answer the question, but they have to answer the question under this episode. It has to be the correct answer and it has to be the first correct answer for them to get the prize. So viewers listening and answer the question and you'll get the prize. We'll contact you, of course, to give it to you. So, go ahead.
Black.
Okay, the black one. So, that's black. Alright, so for our viewers, the question is, which disease affecting corals have spurred restoration efforts? Which disease affecting corals have spurred restoration efforts? So, be the first one to comment under this episode and get the prize. So that would be it for today. So thank you, Ms. Hannah, for joining us, and thank you for telling us more about ecosystem restoration. I love how we just had a discussion and it was fun. So we're so glad to have you, and I hope in the future we can have you once more to talk about something else, because biodiversity is huge.
It's huge. So, but thank you all so much for inviting me. Let me say happy belated World Environment Day to everyone. Again, the theme ecosystem restoration is a theme that we should all take seriously and do our part to contribute to. And I will take you up on that invitation because there are so many topics to be covered under biodiversity management. We do have 20 national targets, almost 200 indicators. So we would love an opportunity to present to our friends out there what are our indicators, targets, and objectives under our biodiversity strategy and action plan. So good luck to the person who's answering the question. I hope you get a microwave or at least a refrigerator.
That's right.
But thank you guys so much. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. And we would like to thank you, our viewers, for joining us today. If you happen to miss the show today, please know that this episode will be aired on Tuesday at 2 p.m. This video is available here on Facebook, or you can connect with us on our YouTube channel, Department of the Environment. EnviroConnect Buzz will be aired on Fridays at 2 p.m. So tune in next week as we discuss another hot environmental topic. So be safe, take care of you and your family, and of course, protect the environment.